Hello, dear friends. Here we are with another study of the Spiritist Magazine. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the world's problems. It's a beautiful article written by the Spirit, Bezerra de Menezes, through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier in a book called The Spirit of Truth by Several Spirits. And this book is not yet in English, but you can find the playlist at Kardec Radio of the translated bits and a commentary by our dear Vanessa Anceloni. Before we start, we always like to greet everybody. Say hi if you feel like so. Leave your comments and questions. What kind of topics you would like us to look at? Is there any issues of the magazine that attract you, that have touched you in your life? Leave a comment below and we will be able to have this dialogue and conversation, as well as if you are interested in volunteering. This is 100% volunteer endeavor. If you have any talents, if you'd like to write, you know how to do beautiful things in art and graphics, reach out to the Spiritist Magazine Editor-in-Chief, and you can do that in different ways. As always, we want to remind folks to visit the website, spiritistmagazine.org, where you would find the latest issue of the magazine. Not only the latest issue of the magazine, but also the links to different links to the App Store. You see here on the right upper corner of the website, a link to the Facebook page of the Spiritist Magazine, all the PDF downloads, and of course, we always have a volunteer organization, but it does take resources to run the app. And you can donate as well if that's something you can do and you would like to do. Here you have all of the issues of the magazine free of charge. You can just choose the one you want, which is issue 54, all about mediumship. If you go to the link, you will download the PDF version on your computer, which is what you're going to see shortly. You can highlight, you can study with your family. From cradle to grave. Remember, when we study, especially, we have, for example, already studied this chapter, which is Collaboration by the Spirit May. When we are doing things as we are right now, the spirits are with us. And you're going to scroll down all the way to the article, which is this one, World Problems. But I would like to bring your attention at the end of the magazine. There are resources for children. So, for example, here you have the books. They are in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Those are books by the author Luis Rivas, and you could purchase those books for your children at kitevangelio.com. You would be able to have that, to talk to your children about the afterlife, talk to the children about their essence and who they are. And then they're not just here to do the checklist so they can get into the best college and do the activities, but that they are here in order to serve the will of God and to be the best they can in their improvement in spirit, in their own reincarnatory plan as well. So it's a beautiful way for you to infuse the knowledge of spirituality, of spiritism in their lives as well, because that's our duty. If you go to the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 14 or 15, if I'm not mistaken, you would see there that topic. But for today, we want to greet everybody and make sure that you are with us. I'm going to share not the web page, but I'm going to share the PDF version of the magazine on my computer, which I have prepared for us. We do this very low key because I wanted you to to understand that this is something you can do. You can study Spiritism. You can create content in the Spiritist doctrine to spread the good news that you receive, that I receive, that we receive, in order to make the lives of others enriched, and that the strength and faith that we are more than the physical body can come to us and we can understand our true nature. So this is an article by the Spirit, Bezerra de Menezes, the Doctor of the Poor, by the Spirit, psychographed by the now Spirit, the author, then medium, Francisco Candido Xavier. And of course, we start with thanking both of them for taking the time to bring us these teachings. So this is The Spirit of Truth is a book, psychographed, and its messages are inspired by different items in the Gospel according to Spiritism. So you would have to go back to the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 5, item 5, and read that item. And then it goes hand in hand with these teachings. But these teachings here are standalone teachings that you and I can work on. He says, the world is full of gold, isn't it? Gold in the soil, gold in the sea, gold in the safes. But gold does not solve the problem of misery, especially when we keep it in the safe and we don't do good with the gold, right? The world is full of space. Space on continents, space in cities, space in the fields. But space does not solve the problem of greed. Let's think about how many of our fellow beings live in conditions of poverty, of homelessness, of despair, even though we have all this space of the continent of the earth. The world is full of culture, culture in teaching, culture in technique. Then we're going to go to the next page, which is the rest of the messages here. On the other side, of course. Right. Culture in opinion. But the culture of intelligence does not solve the problems of selfishness. How many times we are cultured and full of education, yet we are still selfish in our knowledge, we are selfish in our actions, we are selfish with the resources that we have. The world is full of theories in science, theories in philosophical schools, theories in religions, but theories do not solve the problem of despair. The world is full of organizations, administrative organizations, economic organizations, social organizations. Organizations do not solve the crime problem. What does? He's going to continue, and I don't mean to despair you, but there's a solution to this. He says, to extinguish the wound of ignorance, which nourishes misery, to dissipate the shadow of greed, which creates illusion, right? The illusion that we have we have to do, we have to have a bigger house, a bigger car, more activities, my CV is perfect. This is the illusion of materialism, because none of that is taken with us aside from the knowledge and the actions and how we behaved in the world. To exterminate the monster of selfishness, which promotes war, to annul the worm of despair, which promotes madness, to remove the quagmire of crime, which drags to misfortune. The only efficient remedy, it is the gospel of Jesus in the human heart. I'll make it bigger if I can. Not quite, huh? So how is your heart today? The remedy to the world's problems The only efficient remedy, remember the superior spirits don't use words in vain like we do in the world. He says the only efficient remedy is the gospel of Jesus in the human heart. How is your human heart today? Is it filled with the gospel of Jesus? In a sense that we may know of it, we may have read it, we may have studied it, we may be able to quote it. However, can we feel it and then transform it into ideas and actions that will then extinguish the wound of ignorance, that will extinguish misery in the world? We have so many resources. So many of us have so much that we don't need, and others with so little. To dissipate the shadow of greed, the more we have, the more disillusioned we are that we have to have more. Then if we have the feeling of the gospel of Jesus in our hearts, then we can exterminate within ourselves selfishness that tells me, that keeps me in this sense of scarcity, which is I don't have enough. I need more. My family need more. My children need more. My parents need more. And then we are unable to be content with what we have and see ourselves as an agents of goodness everywhere we are. So we could start today by going back to the gospel, not only the original gospel, the four gospels in the traditional way we study the Old and the New Testament, but also in the works of Emmanuel, who brings to us in his books the interpretations of those passages. Because remember, the gospel is only the written remains of all that the Master did, which John says in his gospel, if you were to write down everything that he did, there wouldn't be enough books in the world to contain it. So it's more than just what was left written to tell a story to us of the promised Messiah, but looking at books such as Jesus in the Home, Good News, where Anil Lucio and Umberto de Campos teach us how the Master acted in his daily life, during his ministry to his apostles and to the people around him. The Master wasn't accumulating fortunes. He wasn't dictating the way we dress. He was not keeping the gold in the safes of the time. He was out in the world, making a difference the way he could as a Christ spirit. But you have the same power today. When I choose to consume less, I'm freeing up the resources for others, and I'm telling the economic system that I don't need as much. Then ultimately, we use less of the resources of the earth that are bringing us the problems of sustainability and changes in the climate, changes in the ecosystems. As we see, we are all interconnected. When we feel the gospel of Jesus in the human heart, I'm able to say, we have enough in this household. We're not going to buy anything for a while, or we're going to donate the things that we have in excess. And then I can be a blessing to someone else in my life. So how do we do this? He says, therefore, let us be valiant, extending the Spiritist doctrine that is extracted from the letter in the construction of the new humanity, spreading the good news of Christ. When you share this content, when you watch the programs, when you recommend it to others, most importantly, when you live it in your life, then we can create this new humanity that knows that we are more than the physical, that there's a reason that we are born in certain circumstances, that we undergo difficulties, or our lives are easier than others. There is a story that comes with many, many, many reincarnatory experiences on the planet that led us to today. That multiplied by the grace of God, we are able to have what we have, and our lives are much easier than they if it was just a one-by-one relationship. God is giving you and I the opportunity to be an agent of goodness. Because even though it's not for our vanity, evil is easy to spread on the platforms we are using today. Because you might be watching this years from now where the original platforms don't exist anymore. Evil is easy to spread. Videos that says stay home, watch the game, and eat food that is not nourishing, everybody shares. But the teachings of the hard teachings that tell you you're more than now, if I'm more than this physical life, I start asking, where would I go? How can I be? If I know I'm creating today my future self and where I'm going to end up in the spiritual realm, or in the next reincarnation here or elsewhere, that is challenge. That is harder than going with the flow, swimming against the current of materialism, of greed, selfishness, and misery is easier. It's swimming against this current is hard. Going with the flow is easy. So we need to be courageous to do this. It says, then we will radiate the influence and inspiration of the divine master through emotion and idea, guideline and conduct, word and example. More than evangelizing and say you should do this, you should do that. We live it in our lives. One of the reasons, of course, Jesus' message was so profound at the time that we have our calendars before Christ and after Christ, right? It was so profound is that he lived what it is to be, how we should live if we want to reach the kingdom of God in this lifetime. And it's possible because remember, we are in the law of society. We have to fulfill the law of society. So what I do, what you do, we affect one another. We're here to redress past mistakes and become better through example. And when we live those examples in our daily lives, which may go against the current ways of being, then I give to others a way for them to see it is possible to be nicer. It is possible to be kinder. It is possible at work to not be so greedy and give up something so others can have as well. It is possible that I can be kind and generous with my time when I go to a place and someone stops me and I am tolerant and I comprehend that they have a need. That I know I'm not above the rules and laws that we put in society for the betterment of all. That what I choose to do with my body, my health, affects the body and health of others. When I choose to protect myself against a disease, then I'm protecting others as well. This is much harder than just going with the flow and being rebellious and thinking that everybody's against me, right? But we need to wake up and be mindful of what are we doing? What are we leaving with our words, our emotions, our ideas, our conduct? He says, paraphrasing Allan Kardec's unforgettable concept about charity, let us proclaim to the problems of the world, out of Christ there is no solution. So we need to bring ourselves back to the source. The third revelation builds from the second and the first revelations, right? So we have to read and understand the context of the Old Testament and the New Testament. And then where we are right now, the promised consoler builds upon that. So I invite you today to do that exercise. How are my words? The Spirits say this in the third part of the Spirit's book, in this divine laws, which you, if you stick around, you have the blessing and the joy of watching our friend Carol Correa at 9 p.m. talk to you about the different divine laws. She's reading question by question and delving deep on those questions But there's a part of the third part of the Spirit's book that talks about how we will know, distinguish between good and evil. So our actions, if we know the divine laws, we can say, does this fulfill this law? Does it go with the law? Does it align or deviates from the divine law? And then we can grow each and every day. And then our responsibility towards our own growth, the growth of others around us will multiply. Because today I'm here, I'm able to speak to you with the blessings of the technology that I didn't build, that I've consumed, so that I can partake with you these teachings. But tomorrow, in the next life, I might be in a different location on the earth that doesn't have any of these. No electricity, no stoves, we have to burn wood or coal, no heat, no air conditioning. Then I'm in a different reality. But the experience of sharing this makes me feel as one piece of the whole humanity and the whole earth and all of the other beings that are with us on the earth, evolving together as well. So what I do has implications in my community and everywhere else we go around. Stick around at 9 p.m. Our dear Carol Correa will talk to you about the divine laws. As a reminder, let's see if I make it bigger. This message is from the book, The Spirit of Truth, by several spirits and the mediums of Francisco Candido, Xavier, and Bezerra. And the book was translated and it's available as a study session by Vanessa and Saloni. So you go to our Facebook pages, our YouTube channels, and yes, we have to like it, we have to follow, we have to subscribe, because remember, we want to propagate the good. There's too many channels already and people spreading what is not ideal. We're living as a citizen of this world. So we need to be the agents of goodness and share and be courageous to share the good news of Christ. And remember when I showed you the spiritistmagazine.org website, which is what I'm going to do now. You want to, if you would like to have, you can have the physical copy of the magazine. That's two. For example, I have two physical copies. This one is exactly one we're talking about today. Absolutely amazing craftsmanship and artistic design. Most beautiful. You do have to spend some money to get a physical copy, because it does take the partner MagCloud will deliver it to your home. It does take resources. This is another one that I bring to folks because this one actually has 4 pages of stories for children. And then we have here, your possibilities are endless with studying it on your Spiritist group, studying it with your family, studying it by yourself. It's okay. Your spirit friends are with you always. The mentors and the companions that take part of our activities, they are with us and they can also partake in this endeavor. You're never alone. God is with you. God is sending his messengers. Your mentor is with you. And spreading the good news bring us calmness, serenity, and the certainty that God is providing us with the abundant resources of divine providence that give us everything that we have. And Jesus is at the helm. The world does have problems. However, the problems are solvable. We can work with one another, taking advantage of each other's abilities in each other's time and resources, and we can solve those problems by infusing our hearts with the gospel of Jesus, living the gospel, feeling the gospel, so that we can be better, when we can improve and grow each and every day. Dear friends, until next time, I invite you to join our dear friend Carol Correa and all of the other hosts of Kardec Radio and the different programs we have available to you. Download the app, listen to your phone, go to the YouTubes, Instagrams, and Facebooks, and go ahead and spread the good news of the Christ. Until next time, I wish you many, many blessings. I will see you soon.